Welcome to Grace Pilled, where we explore the infinitude of God by talking about God, with God, within God, aka interviews with people spanning the full spectrum of the spiritual path. My name is Hanna, and I will be your guide. I've been studying and practicing in a classical Shakta Tantric tradition since 2015, and I just love exploring all of the ways that God wakes up within her own dream. For the last few years, I've been working professionally as a guide, doing one-on-one work and also giving talks at courses. If you ever want to chat with me, you can book a call with me on my website or join my Patreon, which is my massive library of Q&A sessions, spiritual talks, spanning everything from traditional tantric philosophy to how to spiritualize your experience of your emotions. So we cover everything in my Patreon. If you want to support the podcast, I now have a $5 tier on my Patreon that you can use as a tip jar for the show, and I would love your support. Today, I am joined by writer, poet, and internet oracle, Aiden Arata. You might know her from her dreamy, timely memes, her prose that cuts through the screen of your phone, or her completely surreal yet highly relatable guided meditation reels on Instagram. Aiden's new book of essays, You Have a New Memory, came out just 2 days ago. I haven't read it yet, but I certainly look forward to. I can only imagine that it's going to feel like a voice memo from a highly perceptive friend, sent from the edge of her spiritual breakthrough that happened alongside the produce at the grocery store. In this conversation, we talk about the dread that surrounds creative work, the porousness required for both art and intuition, and what happens when you accidentally end up at a 14-hour-a-day silent cloistered retreat in France. This is a real thing that happened. We also get into spiritual hysteria, memes as digital mystical artifacts, and the healing power of finally feeling seen. This one is funny, strange, and full of surprisingly delicious nuggets of golden insight. I hope you love it. Hi.
Hi.
Welcome to Grace Pill.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's so wonderful to meet you and see your face moving in real time and not just consuming your memes and seeing the hilarious video that you posted recently of your book coming home in the mail.
Thank you.
I
know, it's so funny. It's like not real life, but it's like real time. If that like we found like we haven't done the space plane, but like we're on the same time plane, and that's like fascinating. That's great. We're in the present together.
Exactly. Right. Because you're in LA and I'm in Denver. But we're here somehow in real time through the magic of the internet.
Yeah.
Well, but as we get started here with our conversation, I always like to ask the question, what's a recent win or something that you're proud of, big or small? Doesn't need to be crazy.
Oh, honestly, I was writing an essay this morning and over the last couple days, and I was thinking honestly just about how I felt like less dread doing it than I usually do. Like, I am one of those people who as many people with creative practices, I would rather like die than do the creative practice. Like, I just feel like the pit of like doubt and avoidance and dread, and it usually takes me so long to move through that. And I like felt it, but like less this time. Like, it just felt like, and I was like trying to it felt like a scared animal or something, where I was trying to like acknowledge that without like interacting with it too much, because I was like, oh, if I interrogate where this lack of dread comes from, I'm gonna like find new reasons to like dread. So like I have to just like from afar just be like, that's nice. That's nice. I'm just gonna be over here doing it. Like, so I did it, and I sent that essay in. So I'm like really proud of myself. That's something that like maybe like, you know, a couple months ago or in another timeline would have taken me like months to finish, took like 3 days. And like, it's not going to be every project. It's not going to be like, everything. But I was like, ooh, like that felt really good. So I'm just trying to like be like, what does that feel like? Can I feel safer in my practice, basically?
Yeah. Can I find a skillful way to court that feeling again?
Yeah, exactly. And like not demand it or like expect it of myself every time, but just acknowledge it and sort of be like, what a win. So I'm so glad that you asked, because this is me acknowledging it.
I love that win. Oh yeah, maybe like praising it. It'll be like, oh, I'd like to visit Aiden again.
Come on back anytime, and I will politely ignore you.
We can just be in the same room as each other, but not acknowledge each other.
Yeah, exactly. The muse is a little skittish, so like I'm trying. It's like a feral cat. Honestly, yes, the muse is a feral cat. That is how I feel. Like
That is so funny. I actually, I don't want to I mean, we can go wherever we want to go today, but I'm so fascinated by what you're saying about the dread of the creative practice because I have experienced major writing burnout myself and I'm like actively recovering from it. And I'm wondering what that dread is. Like, is it related to burnout? I'm just speaking for myself, or is there some going on with that?
I mean, I think there's burnout for sure, especially I feel like when there's earth plane burnout, then it's hard for me to like, I mean, I want to get into this because we're sort of going to talk about sort of spirituality and what it means. And like, I feel like I want to like put a pin in this because I overwhelmingly right now, just in my life, generally feel like so many earth plane things are like happening in this really nice way. But I kind of like the energy that I'm putting towards that, even though it's good energy, just sort of blocks me from sort of the more like the higher realms energetically, or sort of however you want to put that, like from sort of like inspiration or just like being busy being. And then I also think honestly, I think the internet is like really bad for me as a writer. I mean, I think it's bad for most of us. I think it's bad for like, just like the distraction, the scrolling, that kind of stuff. But it kind of also specifically, I don't know if you feel this way, but for writing, what sort of like what the internet does for language is it produces this like deluge of words, like in its information, its data, it's like advertising, it's jokes. Like we are just getting like words, 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 words. And then to make words stand out, what you sort of get like, the BuzzFeed effect, or you get like buzzy headlines, or everything is just reduced to like the catchy infographic, or like the work of language on the internet is to be sort of as direct and as short as possible. And when you're writing, the work of language is kind of the opposite of that. Like you're sort of trying to create ambient space for you and the reader to live in together. And you're asking, like, good writing does, I would say, like 85% of the work. And then the reader is supposed to do the other 15%. Like it's supposed to leave space for like interpretation. It's supposed to leave space, and that's why sort of like the eternal disappointment of like adaptations among true fans, because like they have done the deep emotional spiritual work of like picturing what people look like, thinking about how to pronounce that name, like all of that, like it's the world building that you do together. And so it just feels like sorry, I'm like going on a totally different tangent.
It makes linked to everything you're saying, but keep going.
So anyway, I feel like deeply blocked sometimes when I spend way too much time online, which doesn't mean that I don't do it, but just like, I don't know, the language of like Instagram or Reddit or something, like it just is not, living in that voice is like not helpful for like deep world building and for like creating places. And then, yeah. And also just the dread is like a lot of like self-doubt, imposter syndrome, the usual anxiety. Like there is also the fact that like historically we did not have the option of like hearing all of our criticism. It's like every critic now could ostensibly reach out and just give you a little ping, yeah, and just let you know. And like even generally, like I would say generally on the internet, people are like quite nice to me. Like my followers are lovely, and also just knowing that that could be happening, and like the few times that something like that has happened is just like a specter. Like it's like a dog with a shock collar or something, like it just is really. It's really tough to write when you have sort of that inner critic in your head, and it's really hard to let go of the inner critic when like the inner critic lives in your phone. Like,
yeah, or like the inner critic can even become the specter of the outer critic, like the actions.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then they're cahoots with each other in your head.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Which is also crazy because like I can like rationally be like anyone who feels the need to like anyone who sort of like feels the need to like tear down someone else's creative practice, like assuming it's not like bigoted or something, like assuming that someone is kind of just like minding their business. If you have the option to simply not engage with the art, or like let everyone know how you didn't like the art and you're like your art would have been better. The latter choice is mental illness to me. The latter choice is crazy. Like you could have spent that like brain energy on something that made you happy. What are you doing? Like
Yeah, no, it's a good question. What are you doing?
yeah, like but the take machine is beguiling. I get it. And also like, so yeah, like basically anyone who likes my work is a beautiful genius angel, and I love and like the fact that they let me know that is like kindness and generosity, and anyone who doesn't like my work and lets me know is mentally ill and I feel bad for them. And that's that.
That's that. Right. Okay, so this dread has to do with like earth plane burnout, but also just kind of like social media algorithmic word consumption being really bad for writing. And then just
Yeah.
kind of like the voice that the short form consumption machine has created. It sounds like that's something that gets in the way. It's like I'm hearing you say, if I spend too much time around that voice, does it impact your writing?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's the block? Is it like making you want to do that and then you get like far away from your actual voice? Like, what actually happens there?
Yeah. Like I feel like a little infected by that voice, or a little like I mean, first of all, I think I'm like a very permeable person. I think that like especially if I'm trying to write something that's like long form, I have to be very careful about sort of like what I'm reading, when I'm like, I know I've talked about this with my husband where he's like perfect, but he wants to like, he'll like send me like memes throughout the day. Or he'll be like, oh, here's some TikTok videos. And I'll be like, I cannot look at TikTok right now. I can't do it. I can't like I can only read this one obscure book from, because I need to like bully my voice into getting, not bully, I need to like entice my voice, but like, I need to like, it's like horse blinders or something. But
Oh, yeah.
I think because I don't know, because I mean, we can like that to me, like, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but like to me, like spirituality and feeling sort of in touch with the divine has always necessitated a certain amount of like porousness. Like, there is a level of integration with the world around you that I find like um very compelling, and that fuels a lot of my work. Like, it is very, some of like the nicest things people have said about my writing are like sort of the consistent notes that people get, particularly on this book, is that it's like very dreamlike, it's a little hallucinogenic, it's opalescent, it's sort of all of these things that kind of are about like surreal shifting reality and being sort of like half in this world and half in the other one. And I really, at my most creative, like so many artists like exist in that space. And so it's tough for me, you want to open yourself up to like all of those experiences, but then you don't want to open yourself up to like every voice, or like every, I don't know. Actually, now this is like making me think of like the language around like when people go on like hallucinogenic journeys, and it's like, if you see like a spirit or entity, like I've been taught that you're supposed to be like, are you here for my highest good? And like, if the entity is like, yes, then you're like, great, fantastic. And if the entity like won't answer you or says no, then you're like, okay, great, I'm not dealing with this, goodbye. And like, you can just shut the door on them. And that's like sort of how you can like move through. So you have to be like selective about what you let in, which is not to say that like Reddit is like an evil imp or something. Like, it's not like dark energy necessarily, but it is just being very open to possibility and also very selective. It's hard. It's hard to be both at once.
It's hard to be both at once, and I also think it's situational. I think because you were saying I need to bully my mind into being a certain way, so I could write in a certain way. That's one way of putting it. I have a nicer way of saying it, which is
I love that, yeah.
which is curating sense impressions. And so when you curate sense impressions, and so sense impressions are impressions that you receive through the senses, whether that's visual, auditory, whatever, and then those sense impressions are mirrored in the mind. And you can curate those sense impressions for spiritual purposes. So, like, for instance, I've taught people, like, if you need to, like, really get right with yourself or right with God in so many words, like, take a sense impression retreat where you're only listening to uplifting things for, like, 2 weeks. It's not like you're cutting yourself off from reality forever, but just, like, kind of cleanse the mind through taking control over what it is that you're consuming, just so that you can actually even witness what your mind actually is. If you have too much stuff coming in all the time that you're not having any consciousness of, you don't even know what your mind actually is anymore, because it's everything else. And so you're using the word porous, which I think is totally in line with what I'm saying, because you're recognizing there is a porousness to my mind. But if I control for a certain period of time the things that I'm consuming, I can make my mind open up possibilities, which may be of a creative nature or a spiritual nature or whatever it is. And so, anywho, that's my way of saying.
I love that. Exactly. No, and what you're saying, sort of that, like, not knowing your mind, sort of not knowing who it is or who you are, like, that is the dread. That's exactly, like, you just said that better than I could. It's sort of being like, yeah, like, what is at the core of, like, what if this is bad, is like, I don't know what this is. I don't know who I am, because, like, at the end of the day, like, if you make something that you believe in, like, good and bad are kind of like by the wayside. Like, those aren't even really like qualifiers. If you make something honest, like, that's it, or something true to what you meant to make.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so you feel that, like, it's easier for you to honestly create something when you're not so influenced by tons of media or something, and then you can really stand behind whatever that work is. Am I kind of getting that right?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I just want to make work that I can stand behind and that I find interesting and exciting, you know? And yeah, I mean, I always feel like sort of it has to be entertaining and it has to be true. And those are sort of the two rules, the only two.
I like that. I like that. I like the,
You know, and not everyone is going to, like, agree with the final product, but if I really think that and I can stand with that, then I'm happy with it. That's good.
Totally.
Like,
totally. Absolutely. Yeah. You want to really stand behind the food you're serving in your restaurant. Not everybody needs to love it, but you got to stand behind the process.
it's not everyone's cuisine. Yeah.
Exactly. Cool. Okay, well, so let's transition into talking more about these, like, more spiritual topics. I often ask people in these interviews, like, how would you define your spirituality, your practice, if you could? Like, how would you describe that?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like my practice, I have like a monthly-ish moon group with, like, you know, friends, and like I have friends who tour and aren't in town all the time, and it's sort of like whoever's in town, we kind of like get together, usually a new moon, occasionally a full moon, and it's like journaling. Occasionally we'll do a spell or a candle. Like, I'm a spell girly, but I'm also like a messy human and like can't like, you know, I'm not like color coordinating my candles correctly or like doing, like, you know, I mean, honestly, we also like just moved into this house that we are like actively building right now. Like, that's, yeah, you can see there's no trim on that door.
Oh, excited.
Yeah, that's VD that's coming. And that bookshelf we built, that built in, filled it with books. So like, yeah, so it's just like there's stuff. I feel like right now I'm like deeply entrenched in the earth plane, but like generally my spiritual practice is also a little bit earth planey. Like, it's a little bit, I don't know, like I like to ask my guardian angels for parking spots and they always come through, and like having like a conversational relationship with like spirit in that way. You know, it feels very, my best friend from like childhood is like a professional psychic now. She's like a medium, and it's like really fun to kind of just text her and be like when we like got our house, I was like, is it haunted? Can you just like really quick let me know what the vibe is on this? And she like vibe check, and she was like, no, it's great. Like, you're good. And I'm like, thank you. Thank you. So like having like a best friend trusted advisor is like really handy for that kind of stuff. But I also try not to be, I am someone who is very anxious, and I can be prone to I think it's Anne Lamott calls it spiritual hysteria, which I love, which is also so funny because she's like a writer. Like, she says that in Bird by Bird, which is a book about writing and kind of a book about God, but not necessarily. So it's all connected. But I am prone to spiritual hysteria. I am prone to, uh, you know, trying to attribute things to God as a form of control, or as a form of like sort of being like, what if this happens because of this? Like, I was raised Catholic. I deeply like, there is a core being that sort of cause and effect, like OCD style, like, if I do this, then this will happen. I have a diagnosis of OCD tendencies. Like, it's just so it's all in there. And it's like learning, to me, like, sort of a big part of the process is like having a deep relationship with like the universe and spirit and angels or whatever you want to call it. I'm not too fussy about that, but like also within that understanding that like many things are earth plane, many things are like simply not that deep. Like, I can, yeah, the universe is infinitely caring, and also like, I don't know, like probably doesn't care that much about certain things, like certain things I do myself. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's both at the same time, which is like the paradox that we straddle.
Yeah, like we're not supposed to know. Like it would be insane for the universe to operate on human logic. Like,
Mhm. Oh my God, totally. Yeah, because humans aren't like the only thing that's happening.
right, like how hubristic. Also, like, sorry, have you seen what we've done with human logic? You think that like whatever created like brooks and rainbows and like every shape of leaf that we had was operating on human logic? No. Oh,
Right. Yes. The logic, it's like on a different game board entirely.
yeah. Like, and it's like beautiful to tap into and to like marvel at and like try to understand, but like I don't think we're gonna get there. It's not my job.
Mhm.
That's why I'm not God. Like, yeah.
Uh-huh. Right, but I'm hearing you say that like you're describing like an openness to like subtle influences, spirits, like these sorts of things. So that's like part of your worldview is there are subtle influences at work in reality.
Yeah, I think so. And like, I think if you have any experience with trauma, I think if you have the experience being raised as a girl or a woman with sort of the expectations that comes with, it's like there's a lot of like overriding intuition in that, and a lot of like it's been really like interesting to sort of think about that. And my psychic best friend, Chrissy Tolly, amazing. Like she, like I was talking about it once with her where I was like, I really struggle to like think about like to know intuition. Like like I'm always second guessing my choices. I'm always sort of being like, what, is this? And she was like, like a way that you can practice that is just by like literally just being like in very small ways. Like, what do I want to do? Like, what do I feel like eating? That's listening to the universe. Like, what do I like
Mhm.
want to do this weekend? Like, do I want to go to that party or not? Like, even like listening to yourself for like very like what feels like small choices that are like low stakes is like practicing. It's like exercising that little muscle to teach you to trust yourself. And I think that's like a really lovely balance of like, simple earth plane practical, and also like, yeah, like how beautiful to like be in alignment with what you need.
But totally to like have a conversation with that inner compass.
Yeah. Yeah. Like lovely.
It's amazing. Yeah, I also think that like part of working with intuition is divesting from the idea that thoughts originate in the brain.
Mm.
Because if you're too attached to the idea that like everything that's happening in my head is like contained in my body, then intuition doesn't actually make sense, I think logically. If there's like information that's available to us in like the entire sphere of existence, and that's kind of where intuitive insight comes from. I think we have to be open to this idea that thoughts, like the mind is extremely porous, like what you were saying before.
Yeah.
Like, where do thoughts actually come from?
I love that. Yeah.
Like I operate from the view that like I'm just like this vessel, and then thoughts do not originate from my brain. I've been away from that for like a decade. Like thoughts come from somewhere else. But you have to divest from like scientific materialism to start thinking about
Yeah. I love that. There's this idea in like Christian mysticism, where sort of the five senses are referred to as the five wounds of the body. And it's the idea that like a wound that's like open to the world, like the inside and outside. And also it's painful, it's vulnerable to sense something and to let the outside world potentially infect you. It's this like very, I mean, obviously, like, I don't know, like ancient Catholics and contemporary Catholics are just so horny for like a wound or like a blood metaphor. Like they're like more gore. Gold and gore is the Catholic way. And like, um, you know, And it just feels that I love like sort of thinking about it that way, where you're sort of like meant to be taking things in this way, and it even if it feels uncomfortable.
Oh, totally. Yeah, totally. Right. Yeah, and then the question is always like, where is it actually coming from? You're taking these things in, where is it all coming from? And then I think that's just like the non-physical, the subtle influences, God in the big and the small, maybe even like spirits that operate like in your house in totally benign ways. You know, sometimes we think of spirits in the house and it's like, oh God, it's bad. It's like, but maybe the house just has a spirit.
You know, totally.
Like, so what's influencing our intuition when we ask, what should I have for lunch? You know, it might be the house spirit, or it could be whatever, you know, like we don't know what it is. There's like an ecosystem.
I love that. Yeah. And also not needing to know. I mean, I think being really curious and like pursuing it, but I'm also like, I don't need to like control that. Like, that's
100%.
not, I always like am interested to learn more and explore possibilities, but I don't really, I don't know. Like, yeah, I don't feel the need for like one answer. Like, that's just sort of not, yeah. I'm not, I've like never been a very competitive person. Like, I never like, I used to like trip myself on the soccer field so I could like lay in the grass and look at the sky. I feel like this maybe comes from like that. Like,
Really funny.
I don't need to like win God. Like, yeah.
I get you. I get you. Right. Okay. Well, so okay, so this is kind of, you're describing kind of your spirituality, but like, did you always believe in God? Did you ever have like an atheist period? Like, how did you feel about this stuff when you were a kid?
Yeah, so I went to Catholic school but my parents were like not like kind of like like very culturally Catholic, but like not really super practicing. Like we go to church sometimes, but it wasn't like, my parents like, I don't know, did drugs in the 70s and like were sex positive and like, were chill. Like and then my godmother gave me a tarot deck when I was like 9, and I just like loved that deck. Like that was my like first like intro. And it's so funny because like decades later, when I was like reading tarot, and I really enjoy the cards and just sort of like personal hobby, like, read them, visit them. And I told her that, and she was like, what? Like, she just did not remember that at all. And I was
And it was so impactful.
yeah, I was like, you mean my spiritual development catalyst? Fascinating. And she was like, oh, did I? I must have got him at like a gift shop. Like, okay. Like, they were probably from like Oz. Like, I don't know.
Oh my God.
So yeah, fantastic vibes there. But and then I think in high school, honestly, I think that maybe it was kind of the feeling of like wanting to win, or like wanting to like sort of conquer the idea of like belief. But I think I used to feel really like I wanted so, so, so deeply to believe, and in like sort of bigger things in the universe, that I was blessed or special or, meant for anything. But I had like just so much self-loathing and so much self-doubt. And, I couldn't, like, I just remember thinking that like doubt felt like a physical thing. Like it was my Sisyphean boulder. And I was like, I can see the shape of this. I can name it. I know what this is. And I like can't get it out of my life. Like I don't know how to do that, you know? And I was like in my early 20s, like I would say spiritual in the like, I really need something to save me way, like I was kind of like, I'll try anything once. I will like join the tarot class, but I'll also be like incredibly self-destructive. Like I'll do the reading, but I'm not going to listen to the reading. Like that kind of like, if it doesn't sort of like instant validate that I am like, a special secret angel and I am like my life and like make my life good automatically, then I'm not going to listen to it. And I don't, but like, like I was kind of just not there. I wasn't ready. My prefrontal cortex, how do you lived?
Right, but you like kept kind of moving towards spiritual things.
Yeah,
you were fully ready for something to shift. I don't know what that is, but something you were waiting at a certain level.
Yeah, like I think I was just in like so much pain, and I kind of just wasn't. I know it's hard. It's hard too, because it's like I think when sort of you see someone who's in a lot of pain, and it's like, well, like you have to like help yourself and show up for yourself. Like some of that rhetoric to me can sound a little bit like we're not paying attention to sort of like social or structural or like sort of outside forces that can be contributing to that. Like I think validating that pain is sort of the number one step. And I think like feeling going to sort of like traditional therapy and like frankly like a fair amount of hallucinogens like really like sort of got me to a place where I was like, oh, like I actually can be on my side and I want to live with myself. And like that's kind of when everything was able to shift. Like I couldn't have a relationship with God if I didn't have a relationship with myself because I didn't think I deserved it, you know?
Oh, right. Okay. So the more you sunk into accepting the Aidenness of yourself, the more you were open to having a different type of a relationship with God where it wasn't just like, oh, all these things are going to fix me and save me. It shifted
Yeah.
to something different. Am I getting that right?
Yeah. Like it felt more like I don't know. Yeah, it's like kind of an interesting dance between like the building of ego and the death of ego. Like you kind of have to have like you have to have enough ego to die and to know that like if it dies you're going to be okay and like you aren't going to die. But also like, you know, I think most 20 somethings need ego death. I think that's like really important. Most people need ego death, but like at some point I found it really useful. It made me way less annoying. I can say that for sure. And happier to boot. But yeah, I think coming out of that on the other side, like it's also interesting too because I think that like as a teenager and in my 20s, I like really, really resisted um a lot of sort of the Catholic cultural, like the church, like and obviously like yeah, like fuck the church. Like they've done so many awful, awful things. And like I love queer people, I love abortion, like I love, you know, but coming back and then coming back to spirituality and like this very holistic sort of more um I don't know, just like very open-minded and corporeal way has in some weird way brought me back to like some of Catholicism, you know, like I'm very interested in sort of the art of it, the culture. Like I love you know, love the medieval anchorist vibe. I love reading about it, you know, like again, it is some gold and some gore and it's fun. Like I do enjoy that, but there are parts of it that I've been able to integrate better also because like it is my culture, it is my lineage. And so to sort of like understand where I come from in a generational way has been like really interesting to me. You know, and sort of to think about like the people that I come from, like how did they grapple with God? Like sort of what did that look like, you know, 20 years ago, 100 years ago, 400 years ago, and like how am I sort of like tumbling forward out of that? That's like very compelling to me also. So, um yeah, like I'm not like trad cath or anything obviously, but I did go to a like a monastery for like a like Catholic retreat. Actually, I write about this in the book because I thought that it was a nunnery, and then it turned out to be a Carthusian cloister, which is not a nunnery. There were no nuns. It was like 14 hours a day of silence in a stone cell by myself and like random chanting. It was crazy.
That is wild.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It's like, oops, I signed up for solitary confinement.
Yeah, like in rural France. Like I was like I couldn't leave. Yeah, I had the time of my life. Like I think about it all the time and I want to go back, but it was like not I mean, that's divine intervention. God was like,
Oh my God.
we're sending you away.
Wait, and you had the time of your life, like unexpectedly? Like it ended up being like a good experience for you?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I went crazy. I fully like I was like I came out of it and was like talking about it with my husband and he was like, "How was it?" Like cuz you know, I had been out of contact for like, you know, almost 2 weeks and then suddenly I'm like back on the grid and he was like, "What happened?" And I was like, "It was amazing. I learned that if I like wrap toilet paper around my shower head at this angle, I can like get it to like not splash the floor." And that was like day 4. And he was like, this sounds like prison. Which it's like, why would you put it that way? Like, like, I like I don't know. But
You
it was
had to be
beautiful.
there.
It
You
was,
had to be there.
I had the time of my life being present, basically, and like my internet addle brain like broke under like being present. Like because I wrote about this and I like submitted the essay to my editor, and she was like, respectfully, what? What it's that was like the most extensively edited essay in the book, and it was like cut down by half because I would just describe like the trees for like pages and pages, and I was like, this is so interesting, and she'd be like, it's grass, what are you talking about?
This is so interesting.
My Walden moment, like, yeah.
Whoa. Okay. Whoa. Remember what I was just saying about like sense impressions?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you were like on a full-on sense impression. That was like full-on sense impression retreat.
Yeah, and I lost my fucking mind, but I loved it. Like, I want to go back. I had such a nice time. Or had such a time. I don't know if it was like nice in the moment.
No. In hindsight, yeah. But that experience that you had of like writing about the trees for like 15 pages and the grass and all these and how interesting it all felt in the moment, that experience I think is like our birthright.
Yeah.
Like we're like supposed to be having that experience. Maybe not constantly, but it's like one of the things that makes being in this corporeal form. It like gives you an understanding of like, oh, this is why we're here.
Yeah,
this is why we're here.
Exactly. Like this is it. Like, when was the last time that like you had an unmediated moment of happiness? Like, when, like, for me, not recently. Like,
but I did in France prison.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, like literally just like going for a walk, I had like unmediated moments of happiness, and I was like, I get it. I get why they do this. I mean, also like doing that when there was like plague and like pillaging and stuff going on. Like, I can't even imagine what that life was like. Crazy.
Like, oh, totally. Oh yeah, like the history.
Yeah. Like, and just be like, oh, like, because I mean, the cloisters that I went to, I think were like 12th century, maybe. Like, I mean, that's like it's a lot of people going on little walks in silence. Like, it's just such an insane vibe. Yeah. And I feel like to be in a place that allows sort of time to collapse like that and to sort of feel sunlight in the way that humans have always felt sunlight is so fascinating. I love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes when I talk about spirituality and my spiritual experiences, like I, in like secular terms, refer to myself as somebody who's like a student of awe and wonder. And it's like, that's all I'm interested in. And I find like the more I engage with my spirituality and my practice and all these things that I do, the more interesting life becomes. But I almost feel like that word doesn't quite cover it because it's like, oh, it's like this the thing that you're describing that you felt in France is like the thing that I'm always going after. But it's like, to call it interesting almost doesn't cut it. Do you think that there's like another potential word, or does English like suck for that?
English kind of does, because it's like an ineffable experience, and that's like what's beautiful about it. And I think I think frankly most good art is about pursuit of like communicating that experience or invoking that experience, and like that's what makes it so beautiful. Like, I think if you could make it a word, then like we probably wouldn't have so much great music. You know,
that's a good way of putting it. Absolutely.
So
absolutely. Yeah, but I think maybe I'm wondering about the word because it's such a compelling experience, but I feel like maybe it's just like a you had to be there sort of a feeling, like, or you have to taste it for yourself sort of an experience, because it's like yeah, it's like it's almost kind of like the top of my head pops off and it's like everything is sparkling. But I'm just like on a walk. But like then life is interesting. It's like, oh my God, everything is so interesting. Like the trash on the ground, the dog has barking, like everything.
But it's like you're locked in.
It's all I want is that experience all the time. But I think that, yeah, lacking a word for it is probably a good thing. But sometimes when I say like life can become so interesting, I'm like, people are like, what do you mean? Like, interesting. It's like people don't get what I'm talking about. You know what I mean?
Right. Like, I do feel like being, just like connected and present and like excited to be in the present moment feels really good, or just like that is like enough, because that's so rarely enough for me. Like, And like, I mean, I had to like force myself. I had to like physically remove myself from society. And even then, I didn't even do that on purpose. So
It was so funny that it was an accident. I love that. That was divine comedy.
yeah, yep, it was great. I mean, oh yeah, that's how else I would describe my spirituality. Probably divine comedy is a good way to put it. Like,
You totally
there's a lot of trickster gods. Like the universe is a little bit silly, and that's okay.
100%. 100%. Wow. Wait, what? Okay, can I keep asking you questions about this France experience?
Oh my god, yes, absolutely.
Oh, wait, so when you first got there and you realized what was happening, like, did you freak out or were you just kind of going with it?
I just went with it. I was just kind of like, this is fine. I mean, okay, I'm also someone like I like booked a doctor's appointment and like realized it took until like the confirmation that I suspected it was like a pediatrician's office, like as an adult, and I just went and I just had a pediatrician's or like one time I like went to the dentist and like my friend had recommended it, and then I like sent a photo and was like, I'm here, and she was like, that's not my dentist. It was like someone with like a similar name, and I just like went to like, this is kind of a thing that I will do. Like, yeah, because it's also really fucking hard to make a dentist appointment. Okay, like you make one, I'm like, I'm done, and I felt like it took like, what was I gonna do? Not go? Like leave? Go back to Paris? Like I couldn't afford that. No, I'm locked in. This is it. Like, but I do remember I had brought a box of chocolates. I brought C's candy at the airport for the nuns, and then there were no nuns, so there was like this like cloistral assistant guy who was sort of like the manager of the retreat, and I just like gave him the box of C's candy, and he was like, "What?" I didn't know. I also like I don't speak that much French. Okay, so I just be like, "Oh, I got these for you."
I don't like you're not speaking enough French to be able to explain yourself well. Like maybe if you were in speaking English, you
Well,
would have
I think he was also seemed really sweet, so I like kind of didn't want to like horrify him with the idea that I was in the wrong place. Like I didn't want to like I think it would have deeply upset him to think that I was like dissatisfied with anything about the experience. So I was like, no, like I definitely wanted to be a like sequestered monk. That sounds great. Yeah,
I'm for sure here for that.
yeah, I brought you nuts and chews.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so you just kind of went along for the ride and then you were just like alone in your cloister for
Yeah. Yes. Also,
all day?
um, so you like go out to like uh you go out for like office basically is what they call it, offices, and so there's like three like prayer times, and then you're kind of encouraged to stay in your cell. They call it a cell, literally like a prison cell. So you're encouraged to stay in your cell, and then you can also like walk the grounds, and there's like a beautiful garden, and there's meals that you like pick up and then eat in your cell. Like there's no communal, like the offices are like the only times that you have sort of like any communal spot, because you're not allowed to like talk to anyone else who's there, and like you're not supposed to really like, I don't know, it was a little iffy on the eye contact, like if you could do that. Unclear, but like that's another, I don't want to give too much of this away because it's like in this essay.
Okay, no, I'm with you.
I think it's the N+1 is publishing it as a standalone piece. Like it will be out by the time this podcast comes. So
That's awesome.
buy the book and read it in the book. Yeah. Also read it online if you want. But yeah, like you create all of these like delusions around the other people that are like there too. Like, how could you not just be like, what is this person? Because like, who else would do this? Who else is at the poster?
Like coming up with stories about why everybody else is there. Oh, for
being like, this person's mad at me, or like, I like many years ago dated someone who worked at like a Vipassana meditation retreat, like a silent, more in the Buddhist tradition. But his job, he was sort of a retreat manager and had to kind of just like check in with people and make sure that they were having like healing crises and not crisis crises. And that was like a common thing, was like Vipassana romance, where people on silent retreats would like fall in love with each other and then leave. Sometimes they left together. Like they would leave early together based off of like this completely silent, like we are soulmates, divine connection. And then immediately afterwards be like, oh no.
That's crazy. Wait, this is a thing that happens?
Yeah. And you can also have Vipassana enemies. Like, I remember
Vipassana enemies.
like the boss enemies. He was
What?
saying, like, this ex once told me that like he had like this long mediation with this retreat attendee who had come to him and been like, I feel like I'm being so violated. Like this woman is eating lettuce at me. And it was like just like they're all eating. Maybe that's why we all had to eat in our own cells so that we weren't assaulting anyone with the lettuce, with like any of our food. But like the food sound, he was like, this is so personal. Like, which again kind of comes back to your idea that like we are so porous and we are like, so much of the world, like of what we're feeling inside is actually coming from outside. Like that's such an example of like if you shut down so much of that stimuli, like you just go crazy. You just start projecting left and right. Like you kind of don't know like what to do with that. Like the energetic flow is like redirecting itself in really interesting ways. And like it's so important to like be a little batshit, but then also like let it kind of come through in
Yeah, or it's like there's so little going on that these underlying mental constructs or tendencies just get louder.
Mm-hmm.
Or something.
Yeah,
Like maybe if somebody has a propensity towards worrying what other people are thinking about them, it's like everything else falls away, and then that is like a construct of the mind.
totally.
It's just like louder or something. That's just me postulating about it.
No, I love that. Yeah, I mean, even literally, it's really common for people to come out of those retreats and their hearing is really sensitive. Like sounds that wouldn't bother them before feel like very abrasive. Like the lettuce eating thing had a little bit of truth. It just wasn't at him. It just wasn't like, that part, the intent behind it was incorrect.
Yeah, it's not chewing to hurt you on purpose.
Yeah, exactly. But like, was the attendee more
Their senses were much, much more, much tuned.
Which is like fascinating if you're going to let something into you spiritually, like the body is also heightened to that. The body is also, and I'm like, that's like such a lovely thing to remember. Like, I don't know, I'm just like sort of thinking about this now is like when I'm deep in a writing zone or deep in a creative zone, I can feel like really pissy, like or like I just feel and I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I'm having this revelation right now as we're talking, but I'm like, oh fuck, it's because I've been so sensitive. Like I'm making myself so receptive in my like heart and my mind, in my spirit. And the other side of that is that my body is like, what the fuck? Like my body is overly sensitive.
So you've noticed that when you're in this highly receptive creative state, like something will happen, like somebody bumps you or somebody says something a certain way and you're like give me an example. Like what would be bothering?
Yeah, or like I'll like get attacked to like schedule something, which is like fun, like a fun, and I'll be like, why is this person bothered? Like, get out of here. Like, like stay or like,
disturb me.
Yeah, like do not disturb, basically. Or like, yeah, or like my like, the way that like the house is laid out will start to really piss me off and I'll be like, I have to fucking fold laundry right now. Like just like stuff like is more, as much as like I want to zone stuff out or like as much as you can get sort of like in your flow state and nothing else matters. Like the other side of that is like I'll come out of that and my body is just like, oh my God, I'm so like here that I'm really stressed out about like, someone who's trying to talk to me or the email I have to send or what I was supposed to be eating for dinner or like, yeah.
Yeah, the word dull just came into my head and then the word sharp just came into my head. And maybe it's like when you're in that sharper creative state, everything kind of becomes sharper, but then like normal consciousness is like dull. So we can just kind of like tolerate things. I don't know. Those were just the two words that came into my head. Does that resonate at all?
Yeah, totally. Or just like, I am someone who thinks of the brain and body as separate entities just naturally. Like sort of that's how I was raised. That's sort of what I can fall into. And it's just like another little example of how that's literally not true. And even if I'm in like if I go into a deep sensitive brain state, my body reflects that and how interesting that is.
Mm-hmm. Oh, totally. Right. Totally. So here's a curiosity that I'm having at this point in the conversation is I'm kind of wondering, like, what happened in your 20s where it sounded like you started like doing some healing therapy stuff, coming back into yourself, and then it seemed like your relationship with God or spirituality like shifted at that point. Like, could you maybe say a little bit more about that period? Because that seems like a pivotal change time, just from everything you've said so far.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. And it's hard to pinpoint what changed, like what sort of it was that was like sort of the growth moment. Like it wasn't sort of like one moment or a spiritual flash. I mean, honestly, I think a lot of it was like DBT, like earth plane therapy. Like I think having like, and DBT is cool because they also incorporate mindfulness exercises and it's a very like, kind of chill, holistic way um to, you know, um like to work through the world and through therapy. It's not like just clinical and it is a lot of like acronyms and like weird worksheets, but like it's really, yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Very early in my 20s, I was misdiagnosed as bipolar. Like I was like, and which is, of course, like extremely valid. And I don't want to be like, oh, thank God I don't have that or anything. But like, I just don't.
Well, it's an
Yeah.
intense diagnosis.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's an intense diagnosis. It is like, and it was a like really responsible psychiatrist, like just a really irresponsible, really irresponsible psychiatrist, like someone who like probably like shouldn't be practicing. Like it was a crazy like getting like unlabeled medication samples and getting like she would just prescribe like shit after shit after shit and like it would be like a medication that gave me like aphasia where you like forget like the words that you're speaking and like then she would be like, oh, I'll fix that, and she would just prescribe me Ritalin. Like it would just be like this crazy like the idea of if I actually had mania, I'm pretty sure that you should give me Ritalin, like just a crazy vibe. But like also spiritually, to have a doctor tell you that if you feel euphoria, that is sickness, that if you feel an extreme emotion, that is like dangerous. That's like a really spiritually dangerous thing to like tell people or to like into like to internalize. And like that sort of was the language that she was sort of using is like just be aware of feeling anything too strongly. And like I'm, a deep sensitive person and feel things, but like, and finally like I was just crashing out over and over again. And it like I was really deeply unhappy and like didn't want to exist and was making sort of like I don't even want to say poor choices because it's like, what choices did I have? Like, I was like not in a good situation, but like eventually I like went to a therapist, a DBT therapist, and she was like, we had one meeting and she was like, you're like, you don't have bipolar, you have trauma, like you have trauma and you're a sensitive person. And I was like, fuck. So that like obviously it was like quite a process after that, like, psychoactively, chemically, like, like emotionally, like it wasn't like, oh, that fixed everything. But that was really a moment of just feeling like, oh my God, like I am being seen and like this is like not what's wrong with you. Like that was maybe the first time in my life that someone had like not sort of come at like my mental health with from the angle of what's wrong with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like this is a problem.
Yeah.
Like a big problem. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like, this is a problem for you. This seems hard for you, but this is not like upsetting anyone else. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like it, like, so it just was like that shift was so compassionate. And like, I think it's easy. We've clearly both existed on the internet for a while with like therapy infographics and like, wellness influencer culture. Like it's hard, it's easy to forget that like validation like wasn't a thing like 10 years ago. Like we just like didn't validate people. Like growing up, they just like that was like not a thing.
No, totally. Yeah, there was a
Yeah.
norm, and if you deviated from it, you were a problem.
Yeah, it was your fault
Mm-hmm.
and like get over it. And like we just didn't have the language around sort of trauma and around therapy. Like it wasn't normal for like everyone to have a therapist. And it was like that's such a recent shift. Like I'm not that old and that's like a recent shift. Like it's just a crazy yeah, I don't know. Like so that's like just a really interesting thing. But like that moment for me, I think was just like ended up waterfalling into just like feeling okay with who I am and like okay with like that my brain works a little differently from other people's, but not like I'm not damaged. I'm not like, I actually really like the way that my brain works. Like, yeah, I mean, I actually think you know, being a deep thinking, sort of dreamy, sensitive person has like served me really well in what I wanted to do. And,
Mhm.
but I like couldn't do that because I spent so much of my like adolescence just thinking that that was wrong.
Right. Right. And there's like this whole other timeline you could have kept on where all of these amazing things that you've created and all of the work that you've done wouldn't have even been possible because
Yeah.
you were told that like there's certain aspects of yourself that need to be shunned or like suppressed.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I would be alive in that timeline, honestly. Like, I think that like
Yeah.
that, so it really like, yeah, like something as small as just like having permission to be myself, like saved my life for sure.
Ooh,
And like, what a gift. Like,
totally. Wow. For sure. Yeah, I feel that's that point that you made about like beware of feeling things too strongly. And then you were saying that like that kind of led you down that period of depression. It's like anytime we get messaging that like innate parts of ourselves are like not allowed, I think that's just like a breeding ground for depression. And so I'm really glad that you met that new provider, that new therapist or psychiatrist, whoever they were, that was like actually like you have experienced things. Maybe that's why your behavior is a certain way, but like we don't need to like fundamentally transform you into something that you're not.
totally.
You just need to put certain pieces together in a new way, maybe, or
Yeah.
have a new
Yeah,
relationship.
100%.
Mhm.
And it's just like, and coming out the other side of that, it's just like everyone, like, what a dark time to be in America right now. Like, it's obviously different, but like not allowing like queer and trans children to be who they are, like trying so hard to define like what an American is and sort of being like that is like a white, like citizen of citizens. Like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, it's just, I think that obviously like there's so much darkness right now spiritually, but like in a small way, just like denying people who they fundamentally are, or like telling them that that's like a sickness or that's like not okay, or like enacting laws to not allow them to fully embody themselves. Like, it's just, it's awful and it's so violent, like, yeah, and in so many insidious ways.
I think that's the mental illness.
Mm-hmm. Which also, like, no shade to mental illness. I also know I know our mentally ill baddies to be like again, have stayed in the hospital many times. Like, love my Wellbutrin. Like,
Yeah, no. But like, if there's some sort of dis-ease or something, it's like it's like the dis-ease is like people who have the nerve to tell other people what is true or correct, or on a whether it's a personal level or a legislative level. Like that's the problem.
yeah, yes, entirely.
Like pointing the fingers in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. Well, so now you're on this different timeline. And this timeline's awesome because it's created a fruitful environment for you to live out your creative work and your writing and all these sorts of things. But like were there are there any other like pieces of your spiritual story that feel like relevant like post 20s or like after this period of time that you'd like to share?
Ooh, what a good question. I mean, I do think coming online and being part of the internet is kind of like an interesting, like,
Totally.
I don't know how, like, directly, yeah, I'm trying to think of like sort of how that kind of embodied my spiritual journey, or whether it was like part of that or a place to explore. I do think there's something about like the element of like networking and like sort of the ethernet, moving through the ether and like sending things to each other, the download, the like, there is a lot of sort of ethereal experience on the internet that can like mine that. But I also think it's really interesting that, like, if you go down sort of like the wellness to QAnon pipeline, or the like, it kind of is that mixture of like divine revelation and paranoia. Like, I think a lot about like sort of all that stuff going on right now with like people who are like falling in love with AI and then believing that AI is a god, and then like doing crazy stuff because of like their AI cult leader. Like it's like that it's also just like a robot telling them what they want to hear, so they're their own cult leader. Like it's kind of it's a bananas, like it's a really crazy time to be on the internet. It's a crazy like yeah, and to be sort of someone who is yeah, I don't know. I think that again, like just time moves so quickly now, and like the way that we move forward feels like very compressed. But it just feels like not that long ago, it felt like maybe there were like more spiritual possibilities on the internet, and maybe now I'm not so sure about that, or maybe now there are more spiritual possibilities but they're like dark. Maybe now I'm like, oh, like it's gone in directions that I did not predict.
What would be a spiritual possibility on the internet?
I mean, I think again, like just sort of the paranoia QAnon stuff. I think sort of like finding, you know, the AI stuff. I think there's sort of the commodification of wellness and spirituality, and kind of the idea that like, you know, enlightenment can be sold back to you, which is a lie because it can't be sold or bought. But like, there's something, yeah, there's sort of like all of these little threads to untangle, and at the same time, isn't it kind of magic that I can like put a silly little sentence on an animal and you'll feel something? Like, isn't that like kind of amazing that like we have like found ways, like I think so much about how like memes in particular and like content kind of, they have the sort of like the driving force behind them for such a long time. And like a little bit now, I feel like maybe it's petering and twisting into something else. But for a really long time, relatability was the, you know, was the driving force, or sort of like the end goal. It was like kind of this fun game to be like, what is sort of like the weirdest thing I can present you with, or like the oddest feeling or sentence or snippet of language or like image that you'll see that and you'll be like, me. So true. That's me. Fantastic. Like that little gap is so interesting to me. And like there is like delight in that. And it is connection. And on some level, all connection is divine connection. So I can't fault at that. But I also think, I don't know, I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'm like a little bit over the internet right now, or a little, at least a little.
I don't know, I'm with you. Yeah, but on the note of memes, like I don't post as many memes as I used to. That was like kind of how my whole world started being built, was through posting memes on the internet. But I actually have always been really fascinated by like the last, let's call it like 15 years. Because like memery started in like 2006, probably. Like if we talk about the history of memes.
Oh,
but I think it going kind of like mainstream was probably like 2018, 19, and then obviously the pandemic happened. And something that I think is really interesting is the metaphoric thinking that I feel is online for more people than ever now, as a result of like this ability to take an image and then put words on it. And like communicate something that is actually fairly complex through that very simple image that you post on the internet. And like this thing that you're saying about people like seeing like a broken shopping cart in a parking lot and then being like, that's so me. I think that's like a level of like interpersonal, transpersonal awareness that appears to be more and more online with people. I mean, online as in like in their capacity to like conceive reality. And I think that like the internet is one of those things that has like catalyzed that. I don't know if I sound like a fucking insane person right now.
No.
Are you?
No, totally. I'm with you, but I'm also thinking now, I'm like sort of thinking about like, is when you see the shopping cart and you're like, that's me, is that like sort of this beautiful like disintegration into the world? Or is that this like hyper ego, like everything is me? And I don't know. Like there's like, it could be really nice, but then it also could be just like, why do you need to turn everything into you? You know? And when I say you, I mean me. Like,
well, with you, it's like, is it main character syndrome or the disintegration into the world? I was speaking more the first one.
Yes, no, I think
see what you're saying.
Yeah,
I see what you're saying.
Often, I think ideally, you see the shopping cart and you're like, oh my God, I felt that. And then you go to like the supermarket and you see the carts and you have a feeling in your heart where you're like, oh my God, a herd of them. I know, I wish to run free with them across the parking lot. Like I'm home. You have that feeling. You think about what it's like to be made of metal and to have a little broken wheel and to have people try and steal you all the time. Like to never be put back. Sorry, I'm really going with it. I'm thinking about carts right now, but like I
Love it.
like there's the other element, which is just like that cart is me. That's my brand. I own that cart. Like that feels like just not as interesting. But obviously, again, like we're not doing the work all the time to like, yeah, like I think sometimes relatability can be kind of this like shorthand for understanding experience because it's like we're too exhausted to um we're too exhausted to kind of do the work. It kind of goes back to what we are talking about with language and reading and sort of feeling like, you know, a lot of the time we're too overwhelmed and tired to do the work of like meeting something halfway or sort of like forging connection instead of just having connection given to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's like really compelling. And I think just, yeah, like there's just too much, I don't know, there's too much shit out there. There's too much going. I get it. Like, of course.
Yeah, well, so when you're saying like I'm kind of sick of the internet, I totally get it. Like what's your kind of like timeline for like your, let's call it just like your experiences sharing yourself more outwardly, maybe not just with your friends, but like with strangers on social media? Like what's that timeline like?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to have made a body of work that I like really, really deeply care about. That feels very vulnerable. Like I am sharing myself in a way that I've never done before, or that feels like, because I don't even really, I'll post my face occasionally, but that's like a little uncomfortable for me. I'm still like, I don't know. I think I enjoy the idea of like creating a body of work and just having like the work be the thing that people engage with instead of like me. Especially the older I get, sort of the more I'm sort of like, I don't know, like, do you really want to hear about my opinions? Like, that's kind of how I feel. Like, I'm sort of like, yeah, like, there's so much out there. um, and so I think, I don't know, I kind of want to like phase off the internet. I just wrote a whole book about the internet, but in the process of doing so, I had to be very offline to actually like complete the work. And like it's been hard since then to like step back in. Like that's been kind of interesting, is to sort of be like, wow, I really like devoted so much time and energy and love. And like I really put myself in this experience in the fullest way possible. And now I get to share it with people. And like that's really exciting and really fun. And I like really can't wait to like to hear, like just to interact in that way and have people sort of like interact with the object. But like the other side of that is that I'm like, oh, I like can't go back. Like like I did it and I want to move forward, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, so am I hearing you say that like in the process of writing the book about the internet, you took a lot of time away from the internet so that you could do your creative process, but now you're like kind of like, I don't know if I want to go back. Like what have you learned about yourself that makes you not want to go back? Like what's actually happening there?
I mean, it just makes me really sad to be online for too long. Like I think about like how like I'm just like not I'm not more enlightened than like the alienation and comparison traps and like all the stuff that's sort of social media and like sort of the addiction element of it. Like I'm not better than that. And I know that now. Like I'm just trying to like really trap how I actually feel when I go online. And like when I go on Instagram, I feel like shit. There's always a point where I'm like, I feel bad about myself right now. And I'm like, why? My life is beautiful. Like, I don't want it to be better than other people, but I want it to feel good. And it does feel good. Like, so what is that? Like,
Is there like a voice? Like what is the voice that makes you feel bad? Like is it
yeah, I think it is that feeling of just being like, I'm not growing enough. I'm not relevant enough. I'm not like other people are having experiences that I'm not having. People secretly hate me. That's a big one, is like, which is, you know what? That shit is eating lettuce at me. That shit is like the craziest. Like, That is like, I am projecting anxiety onto people that are posting, having like a nice time. And I'll be like, wasn't invited. Fascinating. Like, we're just the craziest shit about like, what? That's not real. Like, I'm good. Like, objectively, like, my life is very good and fulfilling. It's just this funny, like, I, yeah, I'm not immune to the trap, to like the self-esteem trap of that kind of stuff. And I think right now, especially like, it's so interesting that this will be out when the book is out. But right now we're about 2 weeks out from the launch, which is just a very strange, precarious place to be. So I'm acknowledging that I'm already like a little extra emotionally, like, you know, like things are, it's literal.
It's up there, really. You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Like it's an insecure situation, and like that is okay. There's no other place to be. But like, yeah, I feel insecure. So it's just like an interesting little like moment. And I'm actually very excited to go back to this later and be like, ah, yes. Like, but
oh yeah, but wait, am I hearing you say that like I'm in an insecure moment right now, and because I know myself well enough, Instagram or whatever shouldn't be the place that I'm hanging out too much because I'm already kind of in a vulnerable state.
Yeah, exactly. Like I can do, I don't know, it's like going to the gym or something where like I always feel good when I go to the gym, but beforehand I never want to do it, which is that common thing. And it's sort of, it's the same with my like spiritual or creative self. Like I never feel better than when I've written. I never feel better than when I've taken a little walk, I've journaled, and there's just something in me beforehand that's like, I don't know, like, should I be doing that? Like, what's the point? A little bit. Yeah. And like the point is that it feels amazing.
Right. Right. It feels amazing. But then it's interesting with social media because it's so easy to get on there and it kind of feels good. But it's the opposite of the gym where when you leave social media, usually you feel worse than you did.
Yeah. Oh my God.
It's like the inverse of going to the gym.
Yeah.
You just a germ. And maybe it gives you some hits at first and then you feel bad afterwards.
Yeah, like it like front loads the endorphins. Like you don't get the runner's high on like mile 3. They're like, we're giving it to you right away, and then it's just nothing but soreness. Nothing, but without the satisfaction. It's not even like sore in the way of, wow, I really like stretched my body to a new place, or I like moved and that's why I'm sore, because I'm like growing and healing. It's like sore, like you got punched to the face.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think the social media thing is really complicated, obviously, but because like, especially with this book, it sounds like your life path is full of so many like unexpected things or something. Like it's just been a lot of like unexpected experiences. Yeah. And it's just like I'm writing this book about the internet and then it's like I kind of don't want to be on the internet. That's like such an interesting and perhaps even unexpected thing because I would guess that like a lot of the energy behind writing the book and even like having an audience of people who are like so excited to read it is because directly of social media. So it's like you've been given these amazing gifts and opportunities as a result of it. But then it's like this thing that like makes us feel like shit if we're on it for too long. It's like, yeah, something like so bittersweet, or like that's not even the right way to put it. It's like a poisoned apple, but also like you can have like some bites of it. Like,
you know what I'm saying? It's like, what is it that sort of like the poison is also the cure or something? Yes. So the cure is the poison, whatever that saying is. Yeah, that idea that yes, it is that. And because also like it has given me a lot. Like I know before we recorded, we were talking a little bit about sort of like the phenomenology, like just making friends on the internet. And sort of there was like, I think it was earlier, like there was sort of a golden age, maybe like 2018 to 20 through 2020. That was like, just, I made like tons of good friends on the internet, and like what a crazy time, and I like making things. I enjoy the feeling of it when I can get into it, when I sort of have the time and don't feel sort of like capitalist growth panic around it. Like if I'm just doing it to enjoy it, I just think it like to sort of like connect analytics to everything and to connect sort of numbers to everything, I think is just like really spiritually bad for all humans. Like I just think that like it's a bummer, and it's not a good place for me to be because of that. But also, yeah, like it gave me, and also like on a very practical level, like, yeah, that's like how I sold my book. That's how, like, you know,
No, social media is how I pay my bills every month.
yeah,
So
like
I can't be totally mad at it.
yeah. Also, we need it. Yeah, like that's, like it feels very yeah, it is a double-edged sword. And also, like, part of me is like, damn, I would love to like eventually, like, I think of a platform as like what's the definition of like a platform? You think of like a diving platform. You think of like it's a thing that you step off of. It is like a step. It is not the final step. And I think that if I can sort of treat, Instagram as kind of a step and be like, okay, but I did that. I stepped. Like, I want to write fiction and just be a writer. And like, and if that means that I can like post like, I want to like be able to just like post like shitty photos of like food or like my pets or whatever and be like, this brings me joy. Like, I just want to like not
Totally.
yeah. And
Maybe
also, I
think
think,
so much about like the reach of the thing, or like what's the purpose of posting this thing? Am I going to get some sort of a return on
yeah,
investment from like doing this stuff for sure?
yeah, totally. And just be like, I liked this. It's here. And like, I mean, it's almost, I'm like embarrassed to even like talk about this a little, but because you are another creator, like, I, like, in moving towards making my Instagram a thing that makes me happy, I've lost a shit ton of followers. My engagement is like stalled. Like, no, if I actually go into the numbers, like, I am at like a net loss for the year, which is like pretty fascinating. And like, but again, I'm like, this is like, okay, like I lost people who like hate that I'm a writer or like hate that I post about like Palestine. Okay, like great. Like that's fine. Like that is like, I feel comfortable living in existence where like only chill people follow me, like only cool people whose interests align with my, like, that's great. I can't, like, it's never going to be for everyone. And but it is like such an ego blow. Like it really, like, it's really, really hard for me to not get trapped in that cycle about being like, oh, I'm failing, or like people hate me as a person, like to just take it so deeply personally and be like, my ideas are bad, my art is bad, my thoughts are bad. And really, it's just like numbers and bots and shit. Like most of it's honestly just the impersonal algorithm and the fact that I don't make videos anymore and videos are the only like the way to grow and I don't have time. Like it's just like literally like it's all those things and also like probably that I post about Palestine, which is also great. Like good, like free Palestine. Like, but it is like, yeah, it's very compelling to sort of know that and to see it play out, like, and to literally just be like, oh, I'm sort of fucking around and finding out, like, what would this look like? And
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, because if you do want to just get to the point where you're just posting pictures of food or like whatever you really feel like it,
yeah,
it's like you're just kind of getting a taste of like what that actually is like. But maybe it's not going to be as bad as you think.
yeah,
Maybe it's like a whole different timeline.
yeah, exactly. Like, it's another shift, and I were free, like, I just think, like, I don't know. I just don't, I feel like I don't want to spend the rest of my life doing things that feel inauthentic to me. And I think making content the way I do does feel authentic to me, but I just like noticed a shift where I like had changed the kind of stuff that I do and have changed sort of the amount of time that I can give it in a way that can so that it continues to feel authentic. Like I just don't want to phone it in and like we have one life to live, and like that means we all grow and we all change. And so like the nature of like the page is going to grow and change and the nature of the art is going to like change and it's really nice that people are along for the ride and if they're not that's fine too, but it's just like I've been like noticing in a very real way like, oh, like my ego is like catching strays right now, like my ego is like very hurt.
Right. Yeah, no, I feel you. You mean just like in the metrics department of
Yeah,
like people leaving? Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, I've had a lot of unfollows specifically in the last 2 years as well.
yeah,
Yeah, but it's like for me, I kind of look at my whole Instagram. This is just my personal view as like an iterative portfolio of the things that matter to me over time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that.
And so it's like the way my Instagram looks now is so different than how it looked a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually interesting too, kind of thinking about like the so-called quality of what it is that I make now, because what I make now is a reflection of how much time I actually have available. Whereas like maybe like the golden era of my page to some people might be like 4 years ago when like it was like early pandemic. Yeah, like I was literally at home all day and I could literally Photoshop memes. Like I'd go to extreme lengths to make like artwork level memery.
Yeah.
But now I like can't, I don't have time to do it anymore. But I'm not like mad at it.
The kid I used to make would take like a week to make. They took so long, and they're beautiful. Like I'll go back and be like, damn, like that was like a really lovely, weird little like transition, or that was like a nice detail. Like they look, and I really enjoyed making them, but I just like I can't do that right now. Like I can't. Yeah, like life has. Which is also again so funny because like those like the video work, specifically sort of the guided meditation series, like that's how an agent found me and was like, I love these. Have you ever thought about writing a book? And then he actually ended up not being the agent that I eventually worked with, but he was the catalyst for writing the proposal that then I like ended up with another agent who's like amazing and she's so cool. And that ended up like selling my, so it was like the thing, but now because I get to write the book, I just don't have time to make videos anymore. So like it, but again, like it got me where it needed to. And I can like,
Yes, exactly.
yeah, it did it. And I can also grieve a little bit that sometimes I'm like, oh, like, why aren't I still doing that? I'm like in my flop era. I peaked. That was it. And then I'm like, oh no, I'm literally just like in a new place. That's where I wanted to be. I've just where I wanted to be. And suddenly I'm like, why aren't I still striving to be where I want to be? Because that felt safe, you know? Like,
Totally. I've also like I think I have like my own reasons for posting on the internet. Like I have a Patreon and I work with people one-on-one and it does directly like pay my bills every month. And I kind of feel like I have leaned more into like how can I make being on Instagram as easy and inspiring as possible because I don't have a lot of time. And so the new thing that I kind of do is I will try to only go on when I'm actually inspired because there's like something in particular that I want to share. And then I'll usually beta test the idea in my Instagram story. And then if I feel like it's getting traction, I'll turn it into something more like of a thing. And so I have Instagram as like this testing ground for different ideas. And that makes like I get a ton of feedback on that and it turns into something I'm going to post on Patreon or something. Or do you see it?
yeah, that's so interesting. Yeah.
So I try to like, I try, but the thing that I've noticed is that the more inspired I am, the more magnetic the idea is.
Ooh.
And this is where I think like there's like this weird esoteric thing with the algorithm where I have noticed over the last 5 years that the less time I spend on something, but the more inspiration is powering behind it, the better it does.
That's fascinating. That's like really interesting. So it's just like, I mean, it's like chaos magic or something.
Like something.
Yeah. Like it's intention instead of like, you know, painstakingly like writing out your sigil and making sure it's like the right day of rain for this type of spell. Like you're just like, fuck it. You know, like all energy. Like, yeah, but it's so rare for me to truly feel that. Like I like and I want to like get back to a place where I feel sort of like I want to be the lightning rod again. You know, I want to be the magician, and it's harder and harder sometimes to get there. And I have to just sort of feel
harder when you're not okay. This is like this. These are my esoteric social media algorithm thoughts.
Yes,
if you're not tethered to the place on a regular basis, you won't know what to give to the place. So you have to like kind of have a routine of being there. Because otherwise, like, you have to, like, have some sort of energetic connection to, like, the frequency of the digital space. And so I've noticed that if I'm spending too much time offline, it creates this, like, feedback loop of, like, I'm so disconnected from that thing that I don't feel any inspiration to be there. But if I have almost kind of, like, a daily interaction with it, I'm still tethered to the place, and I'm still getting kind of, like, energetic feedback on what's everybody talking about, what's everybody thinking about. But then I come in with like the thing that I'm doing. And so I think that there is something to like if you were like off for like a week and then came on, like you're not tethered enough to like have a relationship with the space. Does that make I sound so crazy?
No,
but
well,
like
no, but it makes so much sense because I mean, even just on like an earth plane level, just like the way that language and trends and like feeling, like you kind of have to be very tuned into the frequency of the internet to speak its language, like sort of to be heard on that radio frequency. You have to be tuned in, you know, like it's kind of this interesting like yeah, I think of thinking it as like a two-way radio is actually like a really like fun way to like frame that. And also, again, it sucks because also being very online is super bad for my mental health.
no, I
And
know.
like super bad for mental health. And what we were sort of talking about with like language and ideas, like I think it does dull my like ideas receptors. So in one way, I'm tuned in, but in the other way, I'm like not getting sort of my like sideways stream of ideas, which like makes me very happy. And I think like, yeah, I don't know. Makes me happy that when I get them. Makes me very unhappy that I'm not getting them.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the social media thing is so interesting because it feels like so energetically tenuous where it like causes so many problems psychologically and emotionally and arguably spiritually if you spend like too much time in an unconscious way there. But then also it like creates so much connection and so much people can get seen. I mean, like my dad is an artist and he's 80 years old. And so he's always kind of thinking like I need to find an agent or like all these he has these like old ways of thinking about this. And I think one of the gifts that social media has given us is the ability to like literally be able to make a name for yourself with no agents.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, you don't need any, like, maybe you can have it if you want it, but it's like, it's not like, there's like the gatekeepiness of success has actually blown up completely. You can see that with comedy. There's comedians growing up who aren't even like doing live stand up ever. And then they go on tour. Like, that's unheard of.
Like, it's crazy. Or they write for SNL or like, like, and I do think sort of that bubble. Yeah, like that bubble felt like very Twitter centric and maybe popped during like the pandemic a little bit. But like there was a point where like with 10K, 30K, whatever, like Twitter followers, like you could just get in a writer's room. You know, just fucking spec script. Like you just like, they're like, we like those jokes. And like that's beautiful in its own way. It was such a shakeup. Yeah, and it is kind of it's this great opportunity for a lot of people. And it does feel a little bit like to really ride that opportunity, you have to like be kind of like on the coattails of like corporations' ill-advised decision to give you a bunch of money or something. Like it's kind of that thing where like you know, like for a while, like influencers made fucking bank or like, you know, obviously not everyone, but like brands would just like fucking give so much money to creators and occasionally they still do, but also like I'm sorry, it's like a bad financial decision. It's good for the creator. I think they should keep doing it, but like it's like sort of we're constantly like the powers that be and that pay are kind of constantly thinking of ways to like secure their bottom line and like to pay people less and stuff, and like it's very hard and nebulous to know like what something is worth, and so you're kind of like constantly trying to like get in while the getting is good and people will like pay you and then suddenly they just stop paying you or they're like it gets over, and that's like really interesting. Like I was thinking about it's also like the I don't know, like I was thinking a lot about being like in my late teens, early 20s during sort of the peak like BuzzFeed era, like peak girls HBO, peak like media, like New York media boom. And obviously all of those places folded, like all of them got bought out, they don't exist anymore. And then like so many of those people went into like marketing. And I feel like in the last couple, like maybe in the last 5 years, there was like the agency boom where like it's like creative directors and marketing agencies and like in-house advertising work. Cause that was like a compelling way if you were like a creative person doing like creative copywriting and like brand shit. Like I've done shit like that. Like you can get like some places pay you like really good money, but now that's all folding and like that's not really a thing anymore because like AI can do that. I don't think it can to high quality, but you know, again, they don't want to pay people and like And there sort of was like an oversaturation in the market of like marketing people. So like those jobs are like not as it's just like this crazy market where like I mean I also feel like as a millennial I'm like wow we really can't catch a fucking break. Like every industry like could you just like let us work one job without being like wow this job is thriving. We should really just like lay them all off.
Yeah.
I don't they're doing well so I don't value this work anymore. What the fuck? Like yeah. So that is hard. And also, like, I don't know, it just feels like it is like all of these like waves. Like when you talk about sort of being like, oh, it's an unconventional path, like what was a meme? Like when I was in like high school, if you were like, oh, you're gonna like get really famous for making memes, I literally would be like, what is a meme? What are you talking about? Like
What with another unexpected thing?
yeah. Podcasts? What?
Yeah.
What the fuck is it called? You like it's a radio show, but you can't listen to it on the radio? What is that? Yeah. Like it just feels like life is so crazy and so many paths are like non-traditional in ways that are like kind of lovely and like hopefully lovely if you can keep it that way. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting to just kind of be like receptive to like what life throws at you and also give ourselves like so much grace for how fucking exhausting it is to not know what your next move is going to be and to not just have security. Like I feel really grateful that my partner has, I mean, knock on wood, like who knows what the world is, but like has like a job that is like secure and salaried and that he enjoys that he's worked at for a long time because like I just I it's like hard to be the partner that's like I don't know what the next I hope I sell another book. I'm working on it. I think it's going to happen and also like
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think the social media path in the sense of it being something that helps your career is by definition non-traditional because it's always changing. I feel like the traditional paths that you could take for like financial stability or career or whatever, maybe this is definitely moving into a stage of being up for debate, but it's like there were certain guarantees. Like it used to be like if you do this thing, then like you'll be guaranteed a certain amount of money and you'll have health
yeah.
and like all these sorts of things. But um I've never once in my life had a cell of my body that's ever vibed with doing something traditionally.
Yeah.
So I think I've just been primed to like live this like path of like somehow every month being able to pay my bills from like thing that's inherently tenuous, which is social media.
Yeah.
It's so inherently tenuous because you have no control over the algorithm. You have no control over like who gets what seen what, like all these sorts of things. And so it's just like, but like I couldn't possibly do the other thing either. And so I just try to say yes to the thing that I'm actually doing as hard as possible.
Like it's going to be hard if you do and hard if you don't. So you might as well do it, basically.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, it's very, yeah. And that's a beautiful way to look at it. Like, yeah, I know it is just like, again, would love a precedented time, but that's not what life is.
No.
So we have to adapt.
Really good at being unprecedented.
Yeah. And if it is like the end of the world and nothing else matters, like you said, at least just do the thing that you love. Like do the thing that feels like natural and easy and like, you know, or at least like hard in some ways, but like easy spiritually, you know?
Mm-hmm.
We're honest. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, I also feel it with social media. I always like to try to stay very aware of like the territory that I'm in and not try to like have my entire art form but suddenly become social media.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like when I say that, what I mean is like if I'm aware of the territory, I understand like the things that people are most likely to want to watch, most likely wanting to listen to, most likely wanting to read. And so then it's like when I'm aware of the territory, it's not that I'm like defaulting to like the algorithmic tendencies, like, oh, I need to just do whatever the algorithm wants. But if I want to succeed and like have people know who I am so that they can like see my actual world, which is off of social media, I have to be aware of the territory. And so there's like certain things that like are just going to be kind of like at the top of like how to kind of I kind of like to view it like playfully, like how can I playfully get people curious about me, but my social media isn't me. It's like the real thing that I'm offering is actually off of social media. But it's like how can I kind of like have a butterfly net or something. Like I kind of think it's like a gentle analogy, not like trapping people or something, but like something that's like kind of playful. Like what's a butterfly net can my social media be? And then I just invite them away from it eventually to this other stuff.
I love that. Yeah. And being like, yeah, here's a portfolio, here's a taste of sort of what this part of my world looks like. You know, it's an invitation. It's like a party invitation where the party like or like all those like Fashion Week invitations where the invitation is just like a rock in a bed of moss. And it's like, you know, come to the Balenciaga show or whatever the fuck. Like it's very like you're trying, it's an avant-garde invitation to your party. And yeah, and it is nice. Like it's knowing your niche, I guess, too. Where like,
but also something else that I want to say is as like a longtime meme creator and consumer, I can be a little bit of a snob. And I do think that like the work that you've put out, whether it was like those videos from like a few years ago or even like memes that you still actively make, I do think that like you don't want to like undercut the fact that like the way that you configure words and images can actually demonstrate a certain level of competency with an idea that is actually really impressive. And so it's like I think there's like because there's like good memes and then there's just kind of like, oh, you just slapped words on a picture. Whereas like there's something that's like, oh, whoa, like this person clearly has competency in something and there's something that's like radiating off of that. And so, you know, so it's like you don't want to like when it comes to the social media butterfly net analogy, it's like people notice when you're doing actual art with like the simple thing of a meme.
Yeah. No, and it's beautiful. Thank you. First of all, that's so lovely. And also, yeah, like I do think like this is all intuition, but like you have the gut feeling when it feels good. Like when it feels like a little unearthly, a little bit like that point, or like I think like Roland Barthes called it like the puntum is like the piece in a photograph that makes a photograph compelling. And it is like that in a meme. And like of course it doesn't always have to be like that deep, but it's like, yeah, I love how you described that. Like just sort of yeah, an exhibit of competency in something. Yeah, totally beautiful.
Yeah, and the gambling thing could just be like living. Like or like the competency could be like your way of understanding like emotions or the mind or like, you know, like it could be all sorts of things. It doesn't have to be like science or something or like a specific.
No.
But do you know
what I do think? Yeah, I do think a competency in like connections and seeing like the way that things are like other things or the way that like things clash against other things. Like I do think that is an interest of mine, is really exploring like the world is so many things. Like we're just in one big existential salad, and like how do they press up against each other and what is the same and what isn't? Like what is shopping cart? You know, like
I hope I see a bunch of shopping cart things.
I know. Right? Like I do. It is giving me like hints of inspiration. I'm like, do I just need to go like grocery shopping now? Is that me?
I just commune with the shopping carts. Yeah. Like the one that's like all the way in the corner of the parking lot and just have a conversation with it.
Honestly, I am the type of person where I will grab that one and wheel it in and make that my cart. Where I'm just like, all right, lost lamb, let's do this. Like,
no funny. Well, I have to kind of start wrapping it up here with the conversation. Thank you so much for all of the time that you've given us. But like, do you want to say anything more about the book before we go? Like how it all came together? Like maybe just like tell a little bit of the story of how it all happened.
Oh my God. It all happened very fast and very slow and very fast and very slow. This is like a 4 years long, 3.5 years long process, which is crazy that then it's just in the world. And I'm so excited about it. I love it. I think it's weird. It's a weird book, but I think it is like, uh, yeah, I don't know. I'm still sort of like,
What's the title of the book for the people that are
oh, yeah, that's great. Thank you. I know. I'm like, you can chop this up because I'm going to be like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what my own book is. Like, it's called You Have a New Memory. It's an essay collection about identity and growing up online and making art at the end of the world and sort of living in our digital age. And yeah, I just think it kind of is this kaleidoscopic exploration of a lot of the ways that we sort of connect and alienate on the internet. And I like had a phenomenal time writing it. I feel like I became 8 different people in the process of writing it. Yeah, it's wild. I'm just like so excited to have other people, like, because it is this thing where it's like a spell or something, almost like you give it to someone and then they enact the spell by reading it and bring their energy to it. And so to have it be in the world, I mean, everyone who's liked it so far is like the coolest person I know. So I'm like, so I think it's probably good. I'm like, well, cool people like it, so there you go.
Wait, so was the writing process 4 years? Like all of the essays were written over 4 years?
So I kind of wanted, I think I was like thinking about it and like started sort of the process of like the proposal like 4 years ago, 3.5 years ago, maybe. And then had like was with an agent that was just like not a good creative fit and maybe not like a good spiritual fit. And I had never really broken up with someone creatively in that way before. So I had to do that. And that was really hard and scary. And I was like, well, like, this is never gonna happen, maybe. Like, there's a chance that, like, and then, like, pretty quickly after that, the universe brought me my new agent, like, who is fantastic and, like, so, like, just so good at what she does and smart and gets it. And, like, so I know it was, like, a really beautiful, like, exercise because I really struggle with that kind of conflict and with worry, like, thinking that, like, oh, this person took a chance on me and, like, I need them and, like, sort of getting to be like, this actually isn't serving me. And like, I don't know that the book would have sold with my previous agent. I don't think that it would have. I don't think that like the energy and the edits and sort of the way that he thought the book was, which is not to say that he's like a bad person or has like terrible taste or anything. It's just like he wanted it to be something that I didn't want it to be, and like that it was just never going to get made. So like so yeah, so then it sold, and then you get a year. If it's nonfiction, you basically get a year to write it, which was a year, and like edit it and stuff, and then it's like a year to like actually make it. So this is like,
I'm so impressed by that whole process. I'm so like needing to get things done quickly and so to commit to something like multi-years like that. I'm like so impressed.
oh, I cannot tell you how humbling this process has been. The number of people that are like, oh, it's your second book, because like they've just heard me talk about it for so long, and I'm like, nope, same one. Like, oh my God. My friend had this like, thank God he's now her ex, but she was like dating someone who like before I like, so when I was working on the proposal, because like all the Asian girl, and like, and it was really hard to work on a proposal. I feel like the proposal took like at least a year, if not more, to write, because it's just like, I had never done something like that. The first time takes a really long time. And it's like, you don't know if it's going to sell. Making anything long and invested when you don't know if it's ever going to go anywhere, if it's going to be a failure, it's horrible. It is such a scary act of fate. So it took a really long time because I'd never done it. And this fucking ex, who is then her boyfriend, I feel like every time I saw him, he'd be like, hey, congrats on selling the book. Like, hey, when's the pub date? And I'm like, I have not sold it yet. I have not, like, every fucking time this man would just like forget, quote in quotes. I don't know if this was on purpose or not. He was like very much a self-published poet. And I'm like, I kind of feel like in retrospect, you were just
He was chewing the lettuce at you.
yes, he was chewing the lettuce, but on purpose for real. But no, it was like, it just takes so long, and then it's there, and that's so exciting.
No, and you just got the box at your house.
Yeah, like I just got the box of books at my house like a week ago. So like they're present, they're going to be in the world. It's like, it's a very, very exciting time. And I feel like also every writer that I've talked to has been like, you're going to feel postpartum depression after this. Like,
No, I almost just felt like a drop in my body thinking about like, it's that energy shift of it being over, so to speak. It's just on to
they were
Vegas, but
yeah, they were like, the month after you publish your book, you're going to be super depressed and your ego is just going to feel like bereft. And I'm like, what?
What's the point of doing this?
Also, like, so you feel like super anxious and insecure before, and then you feel super depressed after.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the day of I'm having a party, it's gonna be fun. I think it's gonna be really fun for like apparently the week of release is fun generally. So, by the time y'all are hearing this podcast, we will be at my peak emotionally.
Yes.
No, but I do already have like I won't say much about it. But I am like working on my next project and I think that is like keeping me a little bit sane. And like I don't have as much time. Right now I feel frustrated that I don't really have time to work on it. So I think hopefully it will like temper the depression to be like, well, at least I like have time to work on this other thing now.
Totally. Okay, cool. So you have like another thing to kind of bring your attention to and bring some energy into.
Ask me. Exactly.
For this whole thing.
Exactly. And it's just going to be like, can I redirect my energy? Can I like make this, but I think it's going to be, really fun. Again, I kind of love that we have this little time capsule and like
Interesting.
that I can listen to like 2 days after the release and be like, you're right, it was fun.
You're totally, or even 6 months after the release, be like, oh, what past me was thinking about.
Yeah, isn't that crazy that I was so nervous? Like, yeah, it is just like, and it is very exciting. I also think I'm trying really hard. Honestly, at this point, I feel like I'm sure this will like crest and fall, but I think I've experienced so much anxiety about this that I'm right now. I feel like a weird sense of peace. I'm kind of just like, okay, like, we have like a couple interviews, a couple like if the things that are supposed to happen around this happen, that's great. And the fact that like people that I don't know would read this and care about it and like see themselves in it, like that's beautiful. Like that is so exciting. And I like can't really wrap my head around that yet. So that's like kind of fun to be like, oh, there's like gonna be this like pleasant experience of like other people engaging with this also. Like that's fun. So yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of tethering, like tethering yourself to that possibility as much as possible.
Yeah. And not like getting overly like, no, I don't want to create concrete expectations around it. I kind of want to keep things loose, but just sort of being like putting into the universe. And like, I do deeply feel that like overall, this is going to be like a beautiful experience. And I think, to me at least, it's a very important work. So to put important work out and have it just exist in the universe is special.
Oh, it's so exciting. It's so exciting. I can't wait to read it. I'm going to get it.
Thank you.
Well, okay, so you have the book that's releasing, and by the time this podcast comes out, it's going to be out.
Yep.
But then,
available.
Is there anything else you want to pitch? Like any ways that you want people to maybe reach out to you, or where else are you on the internet?
I'm on the internet at Aiden Arata, anywhere on social media, I think. Maybe not everywhere, but yeah, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, the basics. Like, and I have a Substack, aidenarata.substack.com.
Oh, cool.
I've been woefully neglecting it, with book stuff, but I do pop in sometimes to just kind of talk about the internet and the creator economy and what it means to be a sensitive person who's very online. And yeah, I think those are the places to find me. So please find me. Let me know. Yes. Go to reiterate the beginning of the episode. If you have nice things to say, I do want to hear it. If you don't, that's a private feeling that you can have. I respect it. It's just none of my business.
I feel it. Well, it's been really wonderful to actually hear more about your stories and your background. The story about France was crazy. I can't wait to actually read that. I'll throw that the people help some of that so I can actually experience it.
Yeah, that's one where I'm like, can anyone relate to this? I hope so. I think it's gonna be really fun.
Fun. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be cool. I mean, I on some levels did relate with it because I was like talking about the like how interesting that's our first, right? And so I think people will take things from it that like you can't even.
Totally. Which is so exciting.
I know, and I love magic. Yeah, that's the best part. Totally. Yeah. Well, yeah, this has been awesome. And then I can't wait to read your book.
Awkward way of wrapping up the conversation. Well, this was so great. So nice to meet you.
Wonderful. Okay, cool. So, I'm gonna stop the recording now. All right. Thank you so much for listening. Aiden's information is all down in the show notes, and other than that, as usual, if you love Grace Pilled, do me a favor and send your favorite episode to a friend, colleague, lover, or family member, just anyone who you think will enjoy my show, whatever episode you think has really moved you. I would love it if you use the magic of word of mouth to get the word out about my podcast. I've noticed over the last few months of doing this show that it's kind of hard to tell if anyone likes it. And I'm literally not fishing for compliments here. It's just hard to kind of track the data. And so I just want to let you know that it would be really valuable to me if you rated the show on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and also you can leave comments on Spotify. So I would love to see your feedback about the show to give me a little bit more energy to keep going, whether it's a direct message on Instagram or a comment on YouTube. Just anything that's showing me that you guys are way into this, you want me to keep going, that would be super helpful. It's really hard to track the data on if this is a thing that's worth doing. And so other than that, I'm on Patreon. We do Q&As every 2 weeks. I have tons of talks. I release a new thing that's about 30 minutes long, about once a month. And other than that, just catch me on Instagram at grace.pilled. And I will see you somewhere in cyberspace.